circumstances that they're in, then they should get back to that high level of play that we know them for.
Well, hoping to see that today as we head into map number 1 between Renegades and Rooster. It is Overpass, and this is the DreamHack Open Summer. Our first game for the tournament. Renegades will start off on the CT side. Rooster will be the ones with the quick play down towards B, but they've immediately been dispatched of by Dexter, so that's already a little bit of a statement, I say, from Renegades. Nonetheless, Rooster will try to continue to make some inroads into that B bomb site, but they certainly are struggling. And there's not a whole lot to really say about that pistol. It was very much exactly what you mentioned in that pre-show. Rooster rushing the B bomb site. Is this going to be something that we'll see a little bit more of throughout this T side?
Yeah, look, I think, there's a couple different kinds of Overpass teams. There's the Overpass team that really fundamentally understands that T side. They know how to take the map control. They know how to push and pull rotations, something that Renegades used to do. And then there's the kind of Overpass team that's really good at hitting timings on that T side. And I think Rooster is probably going to trend more towards that other side. Another team that I like to say does that quite a bit is like watching the Asian teams, Vici Gaming. A lot of the time they just won't even touch the A bomb site. They just either go map control to B or they go straight into B. I think that's what we're going to see from Rooster. A very strong emphasis on that B bomb site, on winning some crisp aim duels and just trying to hit some nice timings.
It's certainly not going to be an easy bomb site to crack open when you've got ins and hats down there. Dexter obviously playing that sort of floating role. Sometimes he'll be up towards A, sometimes he'll be down there towards B as well. So those are some tough nuts to crack. Hats is going to have a bit of a peek here into Monster and will actually lose his head. ASAP, a good shot with the Deagle, and it's going to kind of prompt Ins now to look for a bit more information on short, and that hasn't worked out too nicely at all. This is the classic T-side economy that you see starting to come into effect here. AK in the hands of Danny G and Chelios, and admittedly it was the Deagle that opened the account, but you almost start to think that the T-side has a better buy than the CT side, and Renegades forced into some awkward peaks.
Yeah, pretty dangerous with those AKs finding some picks towards that B bomb site. One of them with the Deagle as well. Plenty of players over towards that B site. And Hat's just trying to secure that left side of the Monster position. Trying to play a bit of a different angle, especially with that, I don't know if he had a FAMAS or an MP9. Either way, Rooster is going to mix things up straight up towards this A bomb site. Dexter's on top of the site, just firing away with the MP9. Does get traded back though.
Yeah, Dexter falling inside of that smoke does leave Sicko and Malta, but not for too long. ASAP, the highlighted player, showing up right now in this anti-eco, anti-force buy really that Renegades had to play against. But either way, Rooster will win it. And Renegades off to a disappointing start after winning the pistol.
Yeah, now we get to see if we're going to head down this slippery slope of just force buying back and forth. It seems like that is what it's going to be. Renegades in an economic position where they have to take a double save after losing that force buy against that force buy from Rooster. They have about 1,400 in the bank account. That won't give them good enough money this early on in the game to be able to take a single save. So they're just going to try and force. They're going to have to, at some point, Sicko grabbing a little bit of extra cash in the bank for his AWP later on.
Slow and steady wins the race for Renegades. They definitely do want to take control of that CT side economy. Bit more of a stack down toward the B site this time from Renegades. You can see Dexter floating around in the connector. Hat's still on the side alongside Malta and Ins on short. Already Dexter does chime in with one. So Renegades not prepared to relinquish control of this map just yet. But the A bomb site certainly has been left open, and that's where Rooster are going to find a bomb plant.
Yeah, pretty strong approach against the pistols to just go towards long A, but at this point there's no bathrooms controlled. Sicko's trying to look for a bit of a pick from bathroom.
Yeah, I've spoken too soon as well because Chelios is the one with the bomb, and he is still by playground, so a lot of room to cover. And it's all coming down really to the timing here on Dexter's lurk out from long. If he gets it right, he's got a double kill, but Nedic does just check it in time. The spider sensors were tingling, that's for sure. And so Ins and Malta, Deagles to their name, will have to try and complete a 2-on-4.
Just creeping around looking for a pick. Does spot out one of the Ts. No bomb being put down yet, but Rooster very patient at this point. Malta does get cleaned out of CT spawn, and it's going to be on Ins with this Deag armor.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much more he's really going to be able to do. 80k continuing to check long, and now the information is given over. That'll be a swing from Nedic, and Ins very nearly lines up the second onto 80k as well, but will eventually fall, and so Rooster will complete 2 in a row. Not a bad start for Rooster at all. I mean, this is their map choice. They're starting to work the map a little bit nicer as well. It's not just that dedication towards the B bomb site that you spoke about. There was a bit of presence up toward A. So give Renegades a bit to think about.
Yeah, they're going to have to take the singular eco. So, Rooster, that's about as good of a start as you could want for them, getting that force in the second round. Now they're just going to rush this B bomb side, but it's a stack from Renegades actually with these USPs. ASAP's getting straight up in their face, but it seems like the MAC-10s are doing enough work to be able to take this round away. Maybe not though.
Oh yeah, you spoke a little bit too soon. The bomb has been dropped. It's a 1-on-2. The grenade does go deep enough to actually catch Sicko, which leaves Inns alive 1-on-1 against Chelios, Armor and an AK dancing around the pole. I'm not really sure that Inns wins this one. But Renegades have done more than enough damage out of that round to feel like they've managed at least something.
Yeah, it was a full save from them, just 5 USPs, and they get 4 kills out of that. Not sure where a bunch of those came in towards the middle of that gunfight, but regardless, now into the first gun round, we do see the AWP being picked up for Sicko. No AWP on Rooster for now. And their money is really not doing as good as it possibly could be after losing all those guns in that last round. They've definitely taken an economic hit, and that's going to make it a little bit more difficult for them on this T half. They don't have as much bounce back potential if they do lose a round or two to Renegades here.
Yeah, I mean, the same could be said, though, for Renegades. Their money's not looking too crash hot, and they're already down a couple of rounds. I know how difficult sometimes it can be to pull yourself out of that economic hole on the CT side.
I like what I'm seeing from Rooster here. Just taking their time, bit of short control, 2-man push in towards that bathroom. Does get the kill through the smoke onto Dexter, who's always trying to be a little bit cheeky in some of those. Chelios walks out monster though and gets himself picked up by Hats, so that's going to be an even man situation for Rooster. But they still, with that short B control, can start to posture back towards that B side of the map. They do have that critical map control, and now they're going to start to walk towards Hats and Inns, who are playing quite close to one another to this monster tunnel.
Inns still holding on to another smoke, so that should be used to re-smoke monster. It's going to slow Rooster down a little bit. In the meanwhile, Sicko just backing off of bathrooms. He's got a bit of information up there that there's not a whole lot going on, so he'll just work his way back toward the A bomb site. I think Malta might be getting ready to move on the rotate, and he'll have to be quick. Hats nearly can spray down 2, but Nedic survives on 3 HP, and Rooster are into the bomb site. Still a winnable fight now for Renegades, 2-on-3, given how low Danny G and Nedic are, but it's not easy.
It's a good nade from ASAP. No kits on either of these CTs, so if they don't get a pick in the next couple of seconds, then they're probably going to have to just turn away and save for this one, and they will. Not enough time for them to be able to close out some of those awkward post plants. You can see there's no smokes on the CT, so if Rooster was going to go for a post plant, you can see Nedic's over there towards short. There's not enough time to be able to run into short and clear out those angles and get a proper defuse off. So Renegades, they're just going to go for the known factor. Hold on to that AWP, hold on to the FAMAS, because their economy is quite weak, and they need as much potential to win some of these awkward rounds with the pistols that we know that they're potentially capable of in, round number 6. They could go for a deagle on some of these players, and then with the AWP of Sicko, all of a sudden you're putting together a win.
Pretty unfortunate for Malta there, not being able to pick up another gun. I mean, all the deaths happened down on the B bomb site, and he couldn't really get there. I think it's that entry frag from ADK that kind of makes the difference. You know, if Inns has an actual chance to take a fight, you know, maybe he gets one. Hats definitely gets a trade at least, and then the round looks a whole lot different, but nice clean entries from Rooster so far here on Overpass. They've been just rolling through Renegades. Another one. Hats down early. Now that was just a player with a pistol, so the AWP still in play for Sicko, and maybe he can make a difference. Chelios down early. ADK really just toying with Sicko, but he'll elect to back off. Some spam through the wall. Collects ADK as well.
Inns pushing up, seeing if he can try to salvage this AK. That would be a pretty good pickup here, and looks like he's going to be able to get it with the supportive flashbang from Malta being thrown from APC. As you see, Rooster slowing this round down, pumping the brakes a little bit and going back towards that bathroom control, but Sicko on the rotation is potentially going to be able to get himself a pick here, but he's very tradable.
Well, this is a big aggressive angle for Sicko. If he dances around the corner, but he doesn't hit the shot, Nedic ducks underneath it, a quick headshot will finish Sicko off. Dexter's been checked, but not properly, so they might think that long is clear, and that could give the opportunity to Dexter to lurk onto the bomb site. Malta comes up from the connector, spotted by Nedic again, covering off his teammate, and at least Dexter's able to get one, but now Utility's starting to fall a bit short right now for Renegades. No defuse kit at the moment, smoke in the hands of Inns, and I mean, our smoke defuse might be the play. I don't really have too many other options. Dexter looks like he'll be the one to defend ins. The tap is there. It's a 1-for-1. ASAP will deal with Dexter, and now time has kind of just run out. I don't think ins is going to win the round from here. It's really backwards and forwards. Looks for the frag. It's not going to matter too much at all. ASAP cleans that one up. AWP in the hands of Rooster, but not for too long. ASAP will die to the bomb. 5-1 the scoreline, though, and Rooster really actually just pummeling Renegades at the moment.
Yeah, they're doing a really, really good job of just finding those key pieces of map control. They're consistently taking short B, going for some key picks in certain parts of the map to make Renegades a little bit uncomfortable. And it's constantly getting into those messy situations like these 3-on-3s, these 4-on-4s, where Rooster, they're going back towards the map control. They're going back towards A in the late round, taking that bathroom control. So I'm keen to see if Renegades is going to start to adapt to that, whether you're going to start to see some players getting aggressive in the mid-round ASAP. That's a nice duel to be winning, taking out Dexter very early on in the piece there. And that leaves Sicko alone towards this A bomb site, and he's missed the timing. He's been caught with his pants down and cleaned up as well. Rooster, this is going fantastically for them.
It's starting to become really problematic now for Renegades, isn't it? Almost every single aim duel, not even the 50-50s you see are going the way of Rooster at the moment. Excellently traded there by Chelios, and Ins would have been spotted running out to Optimus. Should be falling down pretty quick. Nedic's there to deal with that. Well, Hats has dropped the bomb. He's in a 1-on-2, but Nedic is really just hitting everything at the moment, isn't he? 6-1 is the scoreline. And the thing that's really sort of jumping out to me is that Renegades are not looking that sharp at the moment. Rooster's definitely looking like they're hitting everything.
Yeah, they've also got control of the momentum on that T side, though. It's a little bit easier to go and just be assertive and play that momentum-based gameplay on that T side and just abuse the rotations and take some awkward fights when you know the sort of setups that most teams do play for on those CT sides. So I like to see this approach, and I like the style that they're playing. They're very, very confident at the moment, as that's a bit of an awkward exchange. Unfortunately, Nedic fragging even his teammate there. But this is starting to get messy with the Deagles, actually. Ins is going massive from this pillar. That's the whole round cleaned up. Unbelievable.
Well, that's the kind of round that Renegades really needed to get them back into the discussion. It's going to drop 4 AKs over to the CT side. That's going to do wonders for the economy. And I think it's all just actually off the back of that one flash. I'm not sure who threw it. I think it was Ins that slows Rooster down as they're coming out of Monster. They lose that initial player. Then they're sort of a little bit of in a kerfuffle as they try to run up past the pillar. And Renegades with a bit of a stack on the B bomb side, some good shots hit. That's how quickly things can go wrong.
And it's always with those Deagles for Renegades. Like, even just those rounds that it doesn't look like they've got any business winning. Just put a couple of pistols together. Just a Deagle or two on Dexter and Ins. Some of the other lads pretty sharp on the Deagle as well. And you can put together some of these victories. So that's definitely a round that Renegades shouldn't have been allowed to get away with. But it's not only that. You go back to the second or the third round of this T half where Rooster lost 4 guns on that B site. And then that previous round where they ASAP won that 1v1 against Ins but went down to the bomb and they had no guns alive. You're seeing the cumulative effect of those kind of rounds on the T side economy now. They've got no money. They're absolutely broke here. And Renegades actually got a little bit of cash on 3 of their players. So they're in a better economic position here. And if they win this round, they can potentially take control of this half once again.
Yeah, you're right. This is the point where momentum starts to shift back in the favor of Renegades. So it's all on the line for Rooster. You can't squander an opportunity like this. Up 6-2 on your own map pick. You're feeling good. You're looking good. Don't let Renegades back into the game because they are the kind of team that's just going to punish you. Ins walks out short, gets a double. Eventually is traded down, but he's done his job, given the advantage to Renegades in this round. And Rooster just looks like a completely different team. So does Renegades, to be fair. Just look at this. Hats has walked out for a Monster.
Yeah, they're starting to bully Rooster a little bit, giving them less respect, going for some of these aim duels, and throwing Rooster a little bit off balance, especially when you see it in the middle of the half like this. After a team's been playing a certain way and they start to adapt, that's where you can get into this sort of weird circumstance where, oh, what we were doing before was working. We're going to try to continue doing that, but Renegades has already started to adapt. They're starting to play a little bit differently. They're being a little bit more aggressive, and that's caught Rooster off guard a little bit in this round.
Nedic, solo 1-on-4, and executed by Sicko.
They're broke, Jordan.
And Renegades have got a lot of money now. In the space of 2 rounds, how quickly this half has changed.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to that economy management from Rooster, though. Just going for some rushes in some of these anti-eco rounds in towards that B bomb site has really been the worst possible outcome for them. They've lost the round in that 8th round, I think it was, and in previous rounds to that, they've lost a hell of a lot of guns. So now they're completely broke here. They're going to have to see if they can try to now, with the roles reversed, chip away at Renegades' economy, which is now looking very strong.
Someone's going to need to have a big round here with a Deagle. Nedic and ASAP have been the players leading from the front for this Rooster roster. This is going to get a nice timing, which will allow him to do a little bit of extra damage to Chelios there, as well as get the kill onto Danny G. But it does drop an AK over. There's no armor for Rooster, so it shouldn't be a huge concern right now for Renegades. But that's how you win an anti-eco round or an eco round. You just get one kill, get a gun, put good use to that gun, and things can spiral out of control.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not ideal that he goes down there, but I think just looking at that kind of duel and Inns pushing up short B, it shows the change in mentality from Renegades. They're going to start to play a little bit more aggressively now, relying on this site crossfire, but that's a nice shot from Nedic, which actually opens up this A-bomb site for Rooster to put the bomb down.
Yeah, Sicko missing a fairly straightforward shot, but will make amends for it, dealing with Chelios the second to try and peek him. Now he'll just look to hold the line. Rooster have gotten themselves into decent post plants.
Still armorless, though.
Does need to be careful about that player in bank. 80k does have his hands full trying to deal with Sicko, which he's managed to do. Leaves Hats and Inns in a pretty dangerous crossfire here, actually, but Hats and Inns are too good. Shots ring out across the bomb site, and that'll be the end of the round. Renegades do lose 3 guns on the anti-eco, but
yeah,
it's still okay. 4 to 6, they've got plenty of money in the back pocket. I think Renegades will take that.
Yeah, look, they lost 3 guns. That's going to be a little bit more expensive than they were looking for, not to mention the fact that Rooster, they get the bomb down as well. That helps out their money with a couple of kills, and that bomb plant means they can get this full investment in this round, all of the utility that they were looking for. Renegades, they've still got a fair bit of cash in the bank. They're going to be good for at least a loss or 2. But this is where Rooster, they can try to cement this half a little bit more. Yes, they've got 6 rounds. That's pretty good. But they don't want to be going down 9-6. There's the aggression through the smoke. Unfortunately, though, punished by Danny G, which puts Sicko in an awkward position. But you can see the additional player over here on this side of the map. You do have Malta over here ready to await those Ts who might go a little bit more aggressively. But Rooster's actually starting to slow things down after getting that initial pick. And I love that. They're not thirsting for it too much after getting that pick onto Dexter. They're not overcommitting. And you can see with the positioning of that additional player, usually that B rotator over towards ABC is actually towards A. That probably would have been a mistake from Rooster.
Definitely puts an element of doubt in the minds of Renegades now as well, as they're wondering where on earth have Rooster gone. Luckily, Hats has pushed out into short water, and so he's been able to get a lot of information. Not only that, but now also a kill. He doesn't see anyone else. He hasn't seen anyone crossing into Monster. He hasn't seen anyone in the underpass. So Renegades are able to keep these players up on A, and that's working out perfectly for them. Sicko's 2. Inns there, a double as well. And it doesn't seem to just be Inferno that is where he can put the numbers up. It's Overpass as well. 14 and 8 for Inns. Nice welcome back from the player break for him, at least.
Put Rooster straight back onto another save. So they're very much losing control in this half. Now 4 players surviving for Renegades in that last round as we head into number 12. Chelios is going to hero AK. So we'll see if he can be able to have a big enough round to put Rooster across the line. Get them a 7th. I'd say 6 is already a pretty decent performance for Rooster, but they'd really be looking for a couple more, get towards 7 or 8, just to be able to cement the half once you get towards that CT side. Dexter using that off angle quite well to clean up a couple of these pistoling players, and he's feeling confident. Yeah, even after getting those 2 kills, goes for that repeat and continues clearing out connector.
Finds the bomb, I think, as well, if he gets Nedic here, which it looks like he should, but just takes his crosshair off the line at the wrong time. Sometimes that's just the way it is.
There's that hero AK coming into play. Finds the pick onto Inns, and this is getting a little bit messy for Renegades. Trying to rely on that 2-man crossfire. They smoke off short.
A lot of 1v1s being taken, and there'll be another for Hats. This time traded down. At least he's managed to get 80k, but it leaves Malta quite high and dry. Chelios dancing around the pillar. will be no match for Malta, nor will Netic. A double kill as he holds strong on the B-bomb site. 6 apiece, Renegades have equalized. And after what really felt like a bit of a sprint at the start for Rooster, it kind of seems like they've run out of energy now, you know? Renegades are in for the marathon.
That's a pretty common sort of circumstance for Rooster, though. They're a pretty young team. I think like the average age of this team across the board is literally 18. So a lot of young players on this roster, and a lot of potential, but not always going to have the stamina to be able to keep the same consistency in terms of the energy and winning the same duels in terms of the whole half or even the whole series. And from time to time, just with how you could see how they take aim duels and how they go for map control and try to go for these fights. You know, some of these are 50-50 aim duels or even disadvantageous aim duels for these Rooster players. So it's not always going to go their way, which is, you know, those are two sort of factors that can showcase why this scoreline is so quickly turned around. Also do have a little bit of Renegades starting to play a bit more confidently, a little bit more aggressively, and starting to adapt to what Rooster's doing on this T side.
Hitting their shots as well makes a bit of a difference. A few of those earlier rounds, I felt like Renegades just hits the one initial aim duel. That could totally change the round. For now, Chelio's trying his best to clear out the B site. He's not seeing a whole lot, though. All these Renegades players playing quite safe from the boost.
Pretty different looking round. Aggressive double setup in towards Bathroom. That's a nice opener for Inns, though, and that might be the go signal for Rooster, but with this off angle from Hats.
Yeah, he's all over the place, isn't he, at the moment? Inns is doing so much damage. A big spray down. He'll get Danny G and ASAP as well. There goes another one for Inns. A 4K in the round. What a massive round from Inns.
That
18 and 9.
Puts Rooster on another single save for the end of this half. They could probably go AK armor if they wanted to, back to back, especially if they get a bomb plant. They could probably do that 2 rounds in a row. With how fast this half's turned around, they pretty much maxed out their loss bonus as well. But they're going to take the more conservative approach. They give themselves a decent shot at winning the round, going for techie armor. They do have a fair bit of utility as well. Going to go for a bit of a B exi. Inns needs to be careful not to get caught out here, though.
He's going to do a lot of damage with the grenade and the spray, which should make it fairly run-of-the-mill for Dexter and Hats to clean the rest up. Malta drops, so does Hats. Dexter also cops a headshot. But Renegades will get through the round okay, and it doesn't really matter at this point how many guns they're losing, because we're headed into the final round of the half. 9-6 the scoreline, and Renegades have done a really good job of coming back into the picture, I guess.
They have done. So let's see what Rooster's going to be doing to try to secure that 7th round here. Taking things a little bit more slowly into 2-1-2, trying to go for that short control, but they've got Inns to contest them. Chelios on this AWP angle. The off angle from Inns, though, just misses the toes, and that's going to be a double spray down. That's a horrible start to the round for Rooster, and they're starting to try to rush on the other side of the map to make something happen after losing that. A 1-for-1 in Bathroom. Now ASAP has to try to make something happen from Connector, and they still do have to retrieve the bomb from T-Spawn, so a very, very difficult task here for these two youngsters.
Yeah, not a whole lot of time to do it in either when you think about the context of what they have to do. A bit over a minute. That sounds like a lot of time in Counter-Strike, but when you have to get all the way from T-Spawn into a bomb site past 4 players, won't be an easy task. Smoke goes down on Monster to keep them at bay on that side of the map. No over-aggression being shown by Renegades in this round. They know that they have the advantage. It's a 2-on-4. Don't need to be doing anything too silly. A bit of spam through the door. Netic's lucky that it was closed.
Yeah, just cops that 10 HP dink. Going to group up with ASAP now. Going to be trying to make a play towards this beat bomb site. It's just going to be Inns and Hats playing together as usual. Hats playing from those that toxic area this time around. Inns can have some supportive utility for him.
Hats has been spotted, but now he'll be aware of that, and so he's going to punish Netic for it before the Molotov lands at his feet, putting him in a sticky situation. Inns, however, can't really count him out of this one. 8 seconds left on the clock. Should be his frag. Won't be. It'll be Malta's, but either way, it was Inns' half. He really ran amok there. 20 frags in the first for him, and 9 rounds for Renegades.
First day, first map, first half of DreamHack Summer Oceania between Renegades and Rooster here. And after Rooster got off to a really hot start, they very much slowed down. It looks like Renegades are back on top, Jordan.
Yeah, it does look like that, but Renegades are moving over onto the T side, and I think this is where, a lot of those questions that we had in the pre-show might actually rear their head. It depends on whether or not Renegades know what they're doing on the T side. One thing to be able to put together a nice CT side on Overpass, but I think T side is going to be something else. ADK hasn't spotted these Renegades players crossing, and Danny G may just fall into the trap. Malta spotting. Dexter goes down early, but there is a flurry of frags to follow as Renegades decide that they don't want to overcommit to the B bomb site. Not too bad of a decision, given the big lurk that INS is on.
Getting a lot of information, just getting the rest of Renegades to put the brakes on. As Rooster very much centralized around this big site now, starting to spread out a little bit more. You do have Chelios making his way up connector, seeing if he can find any of these Ts, and it looks like INS, after securing a deep position in towards heaven here, will be joined up by the rest of his teammates in about 20 seconds or so as they make their way up long A. The question is, where does Rooster make a push here, and where do they start to look for information? Because they have to make something happen. Are they going to split up individually and be the victim of INS? It seems like that's going to be the case. The first one, Chelios, INS it's just going to knife him.
I love it. I think Renegades are at that point where they can sort of go for something like that, do something a bit cheeky. And really now, if it goes up to 10-6, you probably think Rooster not going to have too much of a chance of coming back into this one the way that Renegades are looking, in particular the way that INS is looking. That's a sharp shot from Sicko. ASAP running around with the elephant feet is going to give away his position. And now Nedic as well fires off a couple of shots, which will prompt a bit of a peek here from Sicko. That's one down. 1 out of 4. Still not an easy task for young Nedic. Malta behind will deal with it accordingly. 10-6 the scoreline, and if that wasn't a dominant pistol, I don't know what is.
Yeah, that was pretty straightforward from Renegades. Set up for that monster push very nicely. They punish it. They have INS on the lurk to be able to get full information and just take control of the mid to late round there, and they close it out nicely with that A post plant in towards the bathroom. Rooster going to go for a force here. They feel like control of this game is very much slipped away from them. I think it's been 8 or 9 rounds in a row for Renegades here. So,
yeah, I think it was 6-1.
Yeah, they are very much having a rough time, looking to try to take some risk, cut some corners to turn their fortunes around here.
Already a fair bit of long control right now for Renegades. Hats will lead the charge with the Galil. It's not really so much of a charge, is it?
This is a charge at my speed.
Progression. Slow and steady wins the race. Was a bit tough getting out of bed today. Nice and rainy here in Sydney.
Yeah, summer's a very loose term for this competition if you look at the oceanic portion of things.
Definitely. Right, smack bang in the middle of winter. So thanks very much for that, DreamHack.
Freezing rain. Either way, Renegades feeling pretty comfortable to sit inside as well. Mostly situated in towards the bathroom before they use this as a launching ground for an A execute on this site. Just want to smoke off all the angles, as many as they can, and just hit the bomb site. Just to be able to reduce some risk. That also reduces some risk. One being Chelios on that angle is a pretty nice start.
It's pretty mean. Pretty mean indeed. Sicko, can he follow it up? Maybe not this time. And Hats a very messy spray with the Galil. He'll be dispatched off by ADK. But it shouldn't matter too much in the grand scheme of things. It's still a 3-on-1 here. And ASAP, hang on, with the Deagle was good in some of the earlier rounds on the first half. But INS's was better. 23-11. He continues really where he left off in that first half.
Renegades feeling pretty comfortable moving forward here. Are just going to make their way through another anti-eco, put themselves up 12-6 after being down 6-1.
Yep. 11 in a row.
Not bad. Shots there ASAP with that dig, as he did go aggressive up long. Dexter going to get flashed out by the teammate. Does spot ASAP darting back into the bathroom, and he will be cleaned up by Sicko. So good communication, good teamwork between Renegades, just to be able to clean up these pistoling players. Maintain control of this half and of this map.
Another nice shot from Hats. Really seems like everyone from Renegades is slowly working their way into this series. You know, I think earlier on, I'd say probably the first 5 to 8 rounds, we saw a bit of a sleepy Renegades, but now that things have turned around, everyone's hitting their shots, hitting some pretty sharp shots as well. And they don't seem to be too troubled at all by Rooster, which is more in line with what we would have had our expectations be, had it not been a situation where we were coming out of the player break. 12 to 6. And this map really just feels like it's kind of slipped away from Rooster now.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think consequentially, probably the series, once they lose in this fashion, it's going to be quite hard to sort of get that engine started. Pause being taken, though. I would assume that's probably attack from Rooster. But it's a tech pause. Might give them a bit of time to mull things over a little bit more, maybe chat about what's happening. Not that anyone would ever chat in a tech pause online.
No. You would never.
You're not allowed to do that.
Nor would you have your coach watching the game either, because that also wouldn't be allowed when they would be talking to you in the game. You know, that would never happen either. Wasn't a very long tech pause though, so not too much time to chat anyway, although it seems like Renegades aren't fans of that truck because they throw a bunch of flashbangs at it. So
yeah, upgrading to those HEs. I thought they were going to HE stack somewhere, but just preferring to have the HEs for later. If anyone's going to put HEs to good use in the Oz region, it is obviously Renegades. Or is the ones that seem to have that great utility damage.
In's lucky to survive. 5 HP. Dexter's popping some bullets here as well. So that spray through the wall from Nedic has done a fair amount of damage to Renegades.
He's done a great job from that ABC position. Question is whether Rooster can put that to use as Renegades start to make their way back towards Bathroom. It's a very slow and steady pace from them. Almost 50 seconds gone past in the round. The Orb Duel goes the way of Chelios. Something starting to swing this man's way, and Renegades really unable to trade that, unable to do anything about it. That's a full HP player going down, the AWP player no less, and they've got 2 very injured riflers. If there was any point that Rooster could start to turn things around, it would be this round. They're already a man advantage. They've got some injured Ts, and they've got a lot of utility left at 40 seconds on the clock.
Well, let's just see what happens here with the Monster Tunnel. I don't know whether Danny G is going to push through it or not. ADK is hanging on to a couple of flashes, and he's re-smoked the tunnel. I think Danny G is just waiting to see if there's going to be a push from Renegades, which there inevitably will. You can see Dexter boosted up on top of Inz's head. Has got a bit of utility in hand. Hats looking for that entry, waiting for the smoke to fade. Danny G perhaps spotted through, perhaps it was just spam. Either way, Hats goes down and that drops the bomb in the Monster Tunnel. Renegades will have to be quick here, and they are doing well to open the site until Nedic arrives. Malta has no option but to fake the plant because Nedic is so close, but he can't win the duel anyway. It's 3 kills for Nedic in the round, and Rooster finally breaking the drought.
Yeah, massive impact from that man, multi-fragging. Putting up double the frags of any of his individual teammates. And definitely another player to be keeping your eye on for Rooster. He had a quiet little period, but he's definitely been, across the whole life cycle of the Rooster roster, one of the, if not the strongest player on the team. So it's good to see him putting up a pretty solid performance here against Renegades. This round looks like Renegades mostly buying up Deagles, a couple of AKs, flash into short B in the mid-round, sending ADK in. Yes, he doesn't get any kills, but that's a lot of information, Jordan.
And Hats has opened the account though, so we'll see whether this still swings back in the favor of Renegade. There's so many flashes flying in the faces of Rooster, but they seem unaffected by them. Nedic and ADK doing well. Now it's just Inz and Sicko. Bomb in a horrible spot to try and retrieve.
Yeah, Renegade's starting to slow this one down here. Throws the smoke out onto bridge. ASAP trying to scramble into position. Comes out of connector and starts making his way up short B.
Still a hole in that smoke. Chelios also catching in. So the only way that Sicko actually wins this round is if he frags out. But having made some noise, and ASAP coming from short, doesn't give him too many chances. 12-8. Suddenly the scoreline starts to shrink a little bit closer.
Yeah, good couple of rounds on that CT side, and not to mention the fact that that actually economically resets the Renegades. Tried to take a little bit of a risk going for an aggressive buy with the pistols, and trying to utilize a strategy that would have put them to good effect. A lot of the times you do see those B plays from short with the pistols. Remember back in the day there was this 6 strat you could run where you run up the bridge. Astralis used to do that with the techies. But doesn't even work out for Renegades when they're getting pushed into short B very early on. And now getting cleaned up in the anti-eco as well. Maybe not.
Pretty important, actually, for Rooster to keep guns alive right now because their money isn't that fantastic. Inns should get ASAP, but he's actually dealt with by Netic. So good teamwork from Rooster. 4 guns alive. Money is slowly getting there for this CT side. 80k is going to go into an MP9. He knows that Renegades won't buy in this round. There is going to be armor. Actually, I lie. Renegades are buying.
Yeah, Renegades have plenty of cash. They're just a little bit light on the util, especially the flashes. Only 3 flashes across the entire team, prioritizing those mollies and smokes. So need to be careful how they invest those. First one goes over on towards Fountain. And another one over long A. So they've only got 1 flash for the mid to late round at 135. They're going to have to really rely on trading each other effectively and having good spacing.
Inns and Malta definitely don't want to get double killed here, but that's not even an option when Malta just snaps the head off of ASAP. Renegades already finding the opener. That's something that Rooster have consistently had in those last couple of rounds. The rounds that Rooster did win came from an early pick.
Renegades have that man advantage now. They've taken this bathroom control. I'm loving the way they move around the map with this lack of flashes. Just good spacing, pushing together, making sure that they always have that trade potential. And now with a handful of smokes, going to start to line up and execute towards this A bomb site. Chelios on an aggressive angle with that orb though. Won't be flashed off, and he starts to make his way in towards bathroom here as well.
And that's not where you want to be. Hat's ready and waiting. So Rooster now down to just a couple of players on the site. Danny G goes quickly. Luckily, Malta was low HP, so he's dealt with. But it's the bomb site where the problems are arising right now for Rooster. ADK spraying through the smoke, just shoots above the head of the bomb planter. Won't be able to do too much here. Hats and Dexter will finish it. Great round there from Hats. A couple of cheeky kills that really get Renegades over the line, and 13 is that line, as it now looks quite close to the finish line of Overpass.
Could be the case. Rooster putting together another buy though. Chelios dropping over an M4 and going for that glass cannon. Pretty good utility across the board for Rooster. So definitely plenty to play with here. And Renegades, not great money. They have probably enough to be able to recover fairly decently from a loss, but would be a pretty scuffed buy if they do try to put one together, if not just a single save. So not out of the equation yet, Rooster. There's still a window here where if they pick up this gun round, they can try to fight to try to close this round gap.
This is going to start creeping up Monster Tunnel, and there's no smoke available now for Danny G. He just doesn't have time to throw it. The flash goes through, but the aim's not quite there for the CT side, and it ends up being a 1-for-1. Actually, I think both teams kind of get out of that one lucky.
Yeah, it's just pumping the brakes. Dexter's starting to make his way through connector, see if he can catch a timing or be able to cause some kind of a rotation. Sow some seeds of doubt in the mind of the CTs, who are very heavily set up towards this B-bomb site, at least for the time being. But with only ASAP on that A site, throws that smoke out on towards Divider. Some utility being used towards B from Renegades. Molotov onto those barrels. Smoke on the middle of site, but Dexter's still creeping up bathroom. Still trying to find an opening here. Still trying to catch a rotation.
Well, Renegades really haven't committed to anything just yet. Now time is becoming a factor. They have to make a call. 30 seconds on the clock. It looks like they're going to go to A. Creeping through short water. Inns has gotten up into the connector. Sicko and Hats will probably have to deal with the player on short, but now surely Rooster's starting to think something funny is going on. They'll spot the back of Hats. That's going to be the info they need. Dexter's spotted on the A bomb site. There's 8 seconds. Molly down. Inns wrapping around the back of Default is going to have to plant. I don't think he's got it. And Rooster wins the round by virtue of that one Molotov that was tossed on the boxes. Unbelievable. What a crazy round.
That's a good play from ASAP there. He's very lucky that Dexter pulls out a Molotov when he rounds that corner and gives him the time to be able to recalibrate his aim and take him out. You know, that definitely could have been a Renegades round, but Rooster's glad that they've been able to secure it. Gives them a bit of a window, but still a very shaky economy for Rooster, and they're going up against yet another buy from the Renegades. So, this is a very important round for either side. If Renegades picks this up, they can probably put themselves on 15, resetting that CT economy. If Rooster picks this one up, they can close that round gap and really start to try to contest for this map that they got off to a hot start from.
Well, this is where the difference is normally made between teams in the ANZ region and Renegades. When the going gets tough, Renegades seems to be able to dig deep and find a way to get past their opponents. Dexter, great round so far for him. 2 kills. A very needed double kill as well because they'd already lost Sicko and Hats.
Into the 3-on-3. Usually where Renegade starts their best work in the mid-round in these low man sort of situations. We have Inns holding on towards the flank. Dexter, it was a decent attempt with that flashbang, but he posts up with the AWP. Probably did not expect the AWP to be posted on the angle, considering that Sicko's dead. And that ends up costing Rooster.
Danny G has to go on the push into bathroom and does win the aim duel against Malta, not even taking a single shot of damage. So we're back into the 2-on-2. It was looking pretty good for Renegades. Now it starts to slide maybe back in the direction of Rooster, depending on what ADK does here, but won't have too many options because that Molly's keeping him at bay. So now Dexter is able to get a pretty free bomb plant.
And nade onto ABC does some great damage as well to ADK. Dexter posted up on that ABC line. It's the boost actually towards the left side of ABC, but the CTs can't really see anything unless In starts to adjust, but walking straight into the line of Dexter, that's the first pick for Renegades.
Certainly not what you want to be doing. Dexter, what a round. That's an ace. 14 and 10. And that's exactly the kind of round I was alluding to at the very start of round number 24.
Might be one of the more critical rounds of that game, with both teams being broke, and Dexter just aces it. Even down to just this detail of picking up the AWP. That's not a bad play from Rooster. If you think you're up against 3 rifles, flashing into long A and trying to take that duel when you're on that CT side, you don't have much info. It's a pretty good attempt from them, but picking up the AWP, just a little stroke of genius, and then taking that in towards that B side and posting up on ABC side. Rooster now trying to turn their fortunes around with the Deagles, with the CZ, starting to push into short B. But Renegades, a very defensive posture, probably not going to be caught off guard by this, at least not for the time being.
Yeah, I'm not too sure that that's going to worry Renegades at the moment. Very default setup. That's keeping an eye on connector. Sicko's watching playground. Malta's watching a push out from B. So there isn't really anywhere that Rooster can go without being spotted by Renegades, but sooner or later, the T side is going to have to make their move. And they are making their move. ASAP will be forced out by the Molly, and there's not a whole lot that he'll get done. So off we go on our merry way for Renegades. There's going to be a walk in the park, perhaps up to the A-bomb side if they elect to go there.
It's good utility usage just to be able to clear out certain angles. Careful with the bomb there, Dexter, walking straight into the stack of these pistols, but with the flashbang enabling that push, it's a pretty easy cleanup actually. 2 kills for Hats, nicely done, and that puts Renegades on 15.
One round away from finishing off map 1 of DreamHack Open Summer. And then they'll move on to Nuke, which certainly is a home ground for this Renegades roster. Rooster not too shabby on Nuke either, but one does question whether they'll be able to stand up to the might of Renegades.
Again, just the pistol force from Rooster, a couple of grenades between them. Very slow crawling pace from Renegades. Using the utility to be able to try to eliminate some risk, Molotoving out some cheeky positions, flashing some angles, and just taking map control, working together as a squad. Running a pretty solid anti-eco here. Starting to make their way towards long, as well as connector. Haven't found the contact on any of these CTs just yet. Danny G's got some information over towards short B, so Rooster can be pretty sure that it's most likely not a play towards B, especially hearing all of this utility towards A. Probably would prompt a rotate from Nedig, but what a 1B from Dexter to open things up.
I think it looked a bit better than it was because we were watching Hats' POV.
I thought it was. I thought we were watching Dexter.
No,
but there you go.
we were watching Hats' POV.
It was probably a similar sort of situation, though.
Yeah. Either way, that's a one-player advantage. It seems we may have some difficulties with the
Look at Nedig's moves, though.
server. Yeah, he's got this bit of Michael Jackson going on there.
I didn't know you could do the sideways moonwalk.
Something for everyone. What do you reckon? Should we just imaginary cast this one? Pretend like we know what's happening? I'm going to assume Renegades wins this round. Although, with that said, Rooster was already on the rotation up to A. You can see a few of the players there. We're going to bring the camera back to us. We'll let you know exactly what happens with the result of that round, or if the round has disappeared. I've got no idea at the moment, fellas. But hey, at least Kev's back, so it's great to have you back, Kev.
I thought it was going to be 16-10, not going to lie. So I just wandered back in, ready to go, and I'm like, okay, we'll have to wait and see if it's 16-10 or not.
Well, what are your thoughts on this game so far, even though it may have already finished? What do you think of it at the moment?
I think it's just a case of, once again, it was the two danger men from Renegades stepping up. Like, you look at, there was just a moment where, okay, Renegades, really critical part where Rooster was starting to get rounds on the CZ side, starting to really build their way back into it. Maybe potential of a comeback and, dare I say it, a victory. And then Dexter just goes, all right, here's my AK, here's my AWP. 2 rounds in a row, 3 rounds in a row, he just has impact, and you just go, yeah, what do we do here?
Definitely looking good for Renegades at the moment, and the news from the server is that Renegades did indeed win that final round. So it was a 16-10 result, Renegades picking up the victory. We, of course, have a lot to talk about regarding Overpass, but that's going to have to wait. We'll take a short break, but we'll be back with our post-match analysis in just a little bit.